Alright, welcome to Stampscaping 101. We're going to do a set trimming here. It's set number 28, the pine bows. I just did a, I don't know, kind of more of a, I don't know, not a joke video, but just kind of showing you kind of the process that a manufacturer would go through, a very small manufacturer such as Stampscapes, to trim up a stack of, in this case, covered bridges here, okay? But most of you aren't going to be trimming out 20 or, multiple copies of the exact same stamp, but you might get things like these unmounted sheet sets, okay? And I'm going to show you the way that I would approach trimming these. Okay, first of all, you want to have a decent pair of scissors, okay? I mean, if you have a pair of sharp fiskars, that should do the trick. If you're going to be trimming, for years, you might want to invest in a decent pair. These ones happen to be Kai's, K-A-I. They're out of Japan. I don't know where they're made these days, but I think they used to be made there at least. But they're really good steel, so they're just going to hold an edge for a little bit longer. I do end up sharpening these quite a bit as a manufacturer because I'm using them all the time. I used to send away for professional trimming. Then I don't know, there was a local guy that did a lot of sharpening, but I've just come to start using a steel, a knife sharpener, a steel, and I just kind of give it a little bit of a hone. Then I go back this way, and it seems to give me a really good edge. Okay, so that being said, there's a lot of types of scissors that people use. A lot of times people went for the Kai's that are really small, kind of fabric scissors. I think these ones are called embroidery shears, just in terms of the size. I like the really large ones because I can get a longer cut. This one's a doll all around, and these ones are more akin to the ones that people tended to buy. They're really small, and you can get around areas, but I can get around areas, just as easy with the larger one, but it gives me a longer cut, all right? And I was surprised to see some of the Kai prices online, like on Amazon. There were some that were very expensive, like $40 or $50, like this one might be, but there were some that were, I don't know, I think they were like $10 or $15 or something like that. And they looked, I'm sure they were kind of a different model, but they look pretty good to me. So anyways, so that being said, okay, so how would I approach trimming something like this, okay? I usually hit the perimeter, okay? I don't always do that. It just depends on the configuration of the designs, but I don't know. I go for the path of least resistance when doing something like this, okay? Now I'm just trimming out the unmounted bare rubber right here, and this one I'm trimming for a customer that's out of the country, so I'm going to be shipping her set via first class mail, which by the way is always an option to those international destinations. If someone emails me and mentions that, the online shopping cart is configured for priority mail, and priority mail international is very, very expensive these days. But it's a good method of shipping if, there's a decent number of stamps and or mass, like say for the cling foam versions of sets. Okay, so that being said, this unmounted sheet, I'm not cutting through something like a cling foam or something like that. Some people get these unmounted sets, but they like to mount them up themselves onto something like a cling foam. With cling foam, I mean, these are all beginner tips right here, but if you're trimming on a cling foam, that's usually this gray material that you would adhere to the back side of this, okay? And it's going to give you 1/8 of an inch thickness in addition to the thickness of the rubber here. So if you're trimming along like that, you just want to make sure that you're trimming at the right angle and not at an angle that's going to undercut your image, okay? So you want your image to have a nice firm foundation on the back of it, so if it's undercut like at an angle, okay, and it's going underneath the surface area of the stamp, it might not print out. It's usually something that's more, I don't know, kind of important if you have kind of a longer area that extends out, and if it's vastly undercut, it might not print out. If it's just undercut a little bit, you should be able to get enough leverage to stamp it out, but that's just something that you need to worry about. With unmounted rubber like this, the thickness of the foot of the rubber is not that extreme, so you don't really need to worry about undercutting. Okay, so this is the perimeter cut out like this. Now what I start looking for are just areas of clean cuts, okay? So I'm not going to cut out each individual one from here because it's just too curvy. So what I do is I usually just do one line that involves some curves, and I just go like this, see? I'm just continuing on in that same motion. I mean, you can cut each individual one if you want to, but I just find it easier just to go this way. Okay. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a straight line, a lot of images aren't. So I go with something like that. I mean, you could just do a raw cut too, like there's this area in here that needs to be cut out like that, but I might just want to, for ease sake, just separate that. Now I find this cut right here a little bit easier to handle without that extra weight dangling down and pulling down that weight on that end right there, okay? When I'm doing a huge amount of trimming of multiple copies of the same thing, then I do get it down to more of a science, where I'm kind of removing as much as possible any wasted effort, and I want things as, I don't know, kind of precise as possible, just to save myself some time. Okay, now see that? This area right here is easy to handle because I don't have, a bunch of other weight on the parts that I'm trimming, pulling down on the edge, okay? And with rubber too, you can, don't be afraid to bend it. If you're having troubles getting between certain types of images, rubber is very, very resilient. You can pull on it, you can tug on it, whatever. Just make sure that you're not undercutting, okay? And when I get my designs made, I get them made as deeply etched as possible, okay? And when you do that, the image is raised off of the bed, the foot of the rubber, as much as possible. And the deeper that is right there, the higher this is raised right here, the less precise you need to be with your trimming. I mean, you don't have to be real precise, but let's say if I just cut it like that, see this part right here? You can see the image like right here, but see if this gets inked up right here, this part hanging off could potentially print out, okay, if you get ink on that part that's sticking out there, okay? So I like to just give it as close a cut as possible, but, just be careful that you don't cut into your image, okay? When I'm trimming, see this right here? My left hand is doing all the work. I might do some minor, like this, movement with a scissor, but for the most part, it's all on your off hand like this that's doing the work, okay? See that? This just did very minuscule movements like that, okay? I don't ask all the time, but sometimes when people order a large amount of unmounted sheets, I mean, sometimes they order the whole set of, in this case, 29 sheets at this point in time. I always ask people that do that. Maybe not every time if I might know them or something too, or have talked to them, but I usually ask people that are getting a lot of them at the same time, if I have the time too. If you want some help trimming, just let me know. And about 9 out of 10 people do not want that. They like trimming it themselves, which is cool. You know, it's almost like the zen of, you know, kind of your material preparation. They want, you know, they want to trim it the way they want to trim it. But that always surprised me because I thought, oh, I don't know. I guess it's part of the fun for them. But there you have it. You know, some nice closely trimmed pieces. I didn't go like really deep into that little arc right there. I don't think that we need to worry about that because this part's supported here and here. So that part in the middle isn't going to be, you know, subject to printing, okay? But if it's on the edges, you know, on the perimeters or something like that, that's when you just have to watch out for that. Okay, let's see if I can get this back into this. I need to cover up this sticky part now. Let me just temporarily cover it up with, oh, I'll take a piece of like glossy cardstock there and just cover that up. We'll put this back in here, okay, and we'll remove that, seal it off, and you got a set trimmed up and it's ready for, you know, first-class international shipment. First-class mail is pretty inexpensive, especially if you're kind of under that, I don't know, about 3-ounce weight. I don't know what that is in metric, but yeah, the three ounces. When it gets to 4 ounces, or especially a pound, then, you know, priority mail is a really good way to go. But first class takes longer, but you know, the savings can be pretty extreme from that priority international rate. So anyways, that's trimming for you. Good pairs of scissors, keep them sharp. Watch your left hand. If you haven't trimmed before, don't, you know, trim into your fingers or anything like that. But yeah, and 100% red rubber. It's very resilient. Feel free to bend it, stretch it, whatever, to get that exact cut that you're going after. And it'll bounce right back and be fine. Okay, so anyways, that's trimming for you.